3. Keep going. Keep going. Hi, Sarah. Shabbat Shalom.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos, Rabbi.
How are y'all doing? I'm just logging in for those who might want to watch with us as well, who aren't here in person but are enjoying our services. Yes, here we go. It's up to you all to keep me sharp tonight and keep me present and awake. Most importantly, though, it's good for us to be a community joined by our musicians and cantor. We'll meet in a moment to add so much to our services, but it's always good that we're together. So as we always do, when we come, find someone you're sitting near who you may or may not know. Introduce yourself to them. Wish them a good Shabbos. You may have to get up.
Bim, bum, bim, 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 bum. Bim, 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 bum. Yai, da, 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 da. Bim, I need to hear you bum. Bim, 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 bum. Bim, 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 bum. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Cherry berry berry bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam.
Told you we didn't need percussion.
You're right.
See? I want to tell those children to be careful of Gary there. Just kidding. Hey, it's really nice to come together for services. Our Shabbat service tonight will be a nice, peaceful Shabbat service with jazz, with music, and then we're going to go to the lobby together, to the Wally Sampson lobby, and enjoy more music and a little picnic dinner for those who've ordered that or brought your own. And we planned this really well, so I didn't have to talk very much, having just landed a few hours ago from Israel, and it's 1:40 in the morning, and so we're going strong. And so it's an extra special day for me to have the musicians helping cantor and me to make Shabbat a little more peaceful. So yeah, I'm awake, I'm with you. That's why the best thing is that I get to be here with you guys, because if I were home, I'd be asleep. And so I got to keep myself going, and so this is good, right? So it's Shabbat, and it's our time together. And, you know, I wish we were outside, because we love what we can do outside. And I'll do a little side note of advertisement as well in the midst of talking about being outside. You know, we have to make these decisions a few hours in advance, and it was 2.5 hours of sprinkling outside with all the equipment we set up and things like that. So unfortunately, we sometimes get it right, sometimes don't. But we move inside, it becomes a little more stiff sitting in our seats. Feel free to move around or whatever you want. You know, in the not too distant future, when we have these large patios outside where we may have some tenting structures that go on as well, we'll be able to set things up outside even when there's potential storm and create this kind of beautiful feeling and experience as well. But for tonight, we can still create that together. We can still make that together in our peacefulness, in our Shabbat time, in our moment of what we create now. And so it is Shabbat. It's our moment in time where we can take a time to focus on really what means the most to us, what we feel inside. And, you know, like I said, having just returned from Israel, the remarkable thing about travel is in that instant, suddenly we're transported, but I can take myself back to Israel and realize one of the most special things for us, the people, that wherever we are in the world, around the globe, Jews are welcoming Shabbat now, right? And so we unite ourselves with our people throughout the world. And so we connect. We say there's invisible lines and connections that create that sense of community that we feel in moments such as this. And so let's breathe a little bit right now. Let's just maybe close our eyes if we're so comfortable doing. Breathe in God's gift to each and every one of us. Breathe out our gift to this world. Shabbat. This moment we can take the time to focus on that blessing from within. We're told on this day our soul connects with something deeper. God has placed an extra soul into each and every one of us on Shabbat, so we can notice a little more keenly, feel a little more closely, connect a little more deeply, sense that which always is there, but that today, this night, tomorrow, we are that much more aware of.
Return again, return again, return to the land of your soul. Return again, return again. Return to the land of your soul. Return to who you are. Return to what you are. Return to where you were born and reborn and reborn. Return again. Return again. Return to the land of your soul. You died a day. Died a day. Died a day. You died a day.
So as we do with our Shabbat services, these meditation services, we say that the melodies are there to guide us in a sense, and the prayers are as well. I love the teaching in our faith that reminds us that when we pray, when we meditate, whatever enters our mind, Gam Zeh Kadosh, this too is holy. We have a rubric of prayers to follow that can help us, can guide us, but we're allowed to go wherever our minds take us. So in our meditation services, we don't formally follow the prayer book. I'm not calling off page numbers. If you want to follow along, the Baruch Hu is on page 20 of the prayer books, and you can follow along from there. But you can just enjoy the melodies and the prayers as we rise, if we're able, and come together as a community for our call to worship.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. live. Fill our hearts with joy and all the love you have to give. Shelter us in peace as you lead us to your name, and we will know that you are one. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. אמת.
Last Friday night, I was blessed to be at the Kotel and in the Kotel Plaza in Jerusalem to welcome Shabbat and to experience that opportunity as, you know, all different kinds of Jews, in a sense, came and gathered, observed and shared and experienced and welcomed Shabbat together. And as we came off to the side, an area where men and women can pray together, you know, in a little covert corner, the egalitarian section was actually occupied at the Kotel, so we found our own little space, and we're hanging out and creating our own Kabbalat Shabbat service. And one of my teens from Israel was a song leader, guitar player, and so he was helping us with this. And I shared the idea of this prayer, and it's always fascinating, the Hashkivenu, how people interpret it. We love the melody. We share in it together. So many of us have sort of grown up with it over the years, but rarely do we pause and think about what it actually means and the idea of how it is that reflection that we never know what the next second in our life might bring, let alone the next day. And the idea that our prayers in a moment of recognition are soaking in what we experience right now and the blessing we feel in this moment, with the hope that when we wake tomorrow, that's there as well. You know, the idea of what we need in our life. And so part of it is that perspective that what I have in this moment is good, is a blessing. And I want to hold on to that tomorrow, despite what difficulties might have been experienced in the previous week, in the previous month, the previous year, whatever challenges that I'm here with my breath. And I hope tomorrow I wake up with that. And so we're able to say, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'ha'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Let us lie down in peace, God. Permit us to wake up in the security of knowing we're safe and loved. Be a shield around us. Keep enemies, disease, homelessness, hunger far away from those we love. Be a shelter around us. A sukat shlomecha, a covering, a protection of peace.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha l'chaim shalom me'ata v'yad olam. Hashkivenu Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. U'shmor tzeitenu l'chaim shalom me'ata v'yad olam. Me'ata v'yad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom ve'amidenu malkeinu l'chaim.
I called Rabbi Daniel on the way into services to let him know I'm home safe and Cantor won't be alone on the bima tonight, and all is going well. He's at camp with, his own children, a number of our kids from Temple, and I wasn't paying attention to the time and the schedule, and it was during tefillah at camp. And so I didn't know why he refused my call at first, and I called again. And then he stepped out of the outdoor Beit Tefillah, the beautiful sanctuary we have at camp, which I know Janet Henry can envision with me on this. And so he ran to the back and answered the phone thinking there must be some need, something wrong. And I'm telling him something quickly, and he said, "It's Tefillah." I'm whispering, "It's during services." And I heard in the background the melody that we're going to hear in a moment that comes from camp of a poem by Abraham Joshua Heschel that our friend Dan Nichols put to music that we've heard before here, that I think for me and many of us encapsulates the idea of what this moment is. And I shared it with the kids in Israel last week too, because, our world isn't a Jewish world, and we don't always appreciate the idea of how everything shuts down on Shabbat. Last Friday afternoon, we were at Machane Yehuda, the outdoor, market where you can buy everything of your fruits and vegetables and seeds and spices and za'atar and juices and rugelach and pita and chalava from the Chalava King. There's a man called the Chalava King. I don't know if that's idolatry, but nonetheless, sacrosanct, but it's the best chalava in the entire universe, nonetheless. But suddenly everything starts closing down, and you recognize what Rabbi Heschel was saying in this poem that, the idea of Shabbat is a concept, a thought that sort of comes into our world, and everything changes. Something is different around us. And his poem says, "An eternity utters a day." The idea of our lives, our thousands of years of tradition of history, utters a day of Shabbat. And as Achad Ha'am, one of our great teachers, taught, more than the Jewish people have kept this day of Shabbat, Shabbat has kept us as a people.
A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. A thought has blown the marketplace away. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind. There is a song on the wind, and joy in the trees. And joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived. Shabbat has arrived. song in the silence of the night, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a
Please rise if we're able.
Adonai Sefata Tiftachu Fi Yagid Tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Raya, v'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
As we remain standing, so do our thoughts and prayers turn to those in need of healing and strength, reminding ourselves always as we gather, turn to Torah as a source of wisdom and learning and knowledge. Tradition so is a source of hope for our people as it's been for thousands of years. Shiberach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Ve'imotenu Yisrael, Rivka, Leah, Rachel, Hu Yivrech et HaCholim, merciful God, who has blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel. Send your blessings to our loved ones, stricken with illness, anxiety, friends, and family we think of at this time. Louis Sayoto and Amy Drysdale, Outler, Suzanne Becker, Fran Bernstein, Suzanne Bernstein, Wendy Bratt, Michael Brody, Sylvia Caleb at Yosef Azippa, Karen Kasman, Patty Seresny, Ian Cohen, Michael Eisen, Sandra Elliott, Barbara Esrig, Carl Fisher, Carol Fruman, Ann Gotro, Batia Peshapanina, Arthur Greenbat, Eileen Gunsberg, Enid Gutter, Ava Haber-Kornholm, Ty Hall, Hank Heiser, Donna Marie Hock, Elise Haas, Carol Kaufman, Rose Kamenko, Scott Klein, Chaya Aviva Bafegua, Karen Coltono, Marta Lazar, Marley Levin, Nancy Levine, David Levy, Dee Dee Lynn, Zev Lorbert, Zoe Marcus, John Marjoram Lays, Gail Mintz, Lev Hirschlim and Ami, Razel Batlea Miriam, Eileen Borcelli, Rachel Beit Chaim Bachava, Eve Rader, Marcy Fisher Reiners, Bruce Rubin, Reuben Yaakobin, Esther Chana, the St. Amman family, Stephen Siegel, Bernard Sklar, Roberta Savino, Jerry Starnes, Toby Stein, Jerry Steinberg, Guy Stern, Susanna Stern, Lazar Ben Etel, Barbara Weinstein, Harith Zapata, and all the names in our hearts. Baruch Atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. Bless you, God, and give strength to those in need.
לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתוקקים
As we stand together as a community in preparation for the words of Kaddish, we're reminded of two things. The one, that in mourning, we don't stand alone as an individual, we stand as community. The tradition saying that we had to be at least 10 to say Kaddish was the idea that a mourner should never be left alone. And so that they came to community and community helped them stand up in the midst of most difficult times. And I think that gives that reminder of the strength we gain in being connected to one another. But number two, again, that idea that the Kaddish is, ironically, an affirmation of life, even as we remember those who are no longer alive, and the blessings that we have and that we carry with us for those who have touched us in their days. And in that spirit, we think of those who have been taken from our midst, from our community in this past week and month, whose Shloshim we mark, friends and family. Glenn Sikora, Tracy Cohen, Rotem Tzvi, Herbert Krickstein, Betty Enton, Bernard Malamud, Barbara J. Gordon Clavons, Sammy Rader, Linda Lipson, Gloria Sellers, Nancy Pierce, Dr. Daniel Malamud, Etta Zivian, Jeremy Margolis, and those whose Shana we mark still, Dan Lippett. And linking their names to your sites we mark on the Shabbat, those anniversary of past we lovingly commemorate. Morris Becker, Harry Bussell, Herman Chudnow, Leon Kogan, Melba Cohen, Cece Coper, Dr. Leonard Crane, Perlin Ellison, Jean Garbiel, Harold Haber, Bernice Hollander, Samuel Hollander, Diane Hosman, James Ingalls, Beatrice Jacob, Seymour Jaffe, Ted Kazander, Sally Kohlenberg, Diane Krosnick, Frida Linden, Marilyn Shapiro Lays, Caroline Sherbin, Joseph Tadelbaum, Ruth Vosco, Martin Craig Weinstein, Tim Wright, Henry Zicholtz. And linking their names to all names that we did not recite on the Shabbat. Those of every faith and family, those whose lives have touched ours, as well as those who have no one to stand and say Kaddish for them. Do we stand together as one community, as one family, and join the immortal words of the mourner's Kaddish as found on page 46 of our prayer books. Yikadal, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah, Bialma divra chirute bialmich malchute. B'chayei chon uvyomei chon uchayei d'chol Beit Yisrael. Bagala ubizman kari v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah v'arach olam amei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. Vitnadar, Vitnale, Vitnala, Shemed Kudisha Brechu. La'ela Minko Birchata Bashirata, Tush Bechata Venechamata, Ta'ram Biama V'imru. Amen. Yehe Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Useh Shalom B'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen. The source of peace and peace to those who mourn, comfort to those who are bereaved here and everywhere. And let us say, Amen.
Useh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Shalom, Bimrama. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbos.
Welcome home, Rabbi.
Good
Shabbos, everyone. There we are. I want to thank Cliff Monier and Paul Keller on bass and Keith Kaminsky on woodwinds, on flute tonight. Cliff's been here a number of times with Cantor, but the rest of this trio coming together. And wait, John Marjoram Lace said he's played in the Paul Keller Orchestra with some of you, I think, in past times. Yeah, and so impressive. I've got to get John up here with you guys, too. So adding such beauty to our services, in a moment, we'll go to our oneg and our dinner, and they'll continue playing out in the lobby with us. That will be nice to enjoy as well. So thank you again for being here. Adding so much to our prayers and our services, and just really, really enjoy that. A few things to share. First of all, for those who purchased a dinner for our picnic tonight, they'll be handing them out in the lobby at the table there, and so you'll be able to get that. If you didn't, and we have extras, then you're lucky. So that's a good thing. We probably do. Remind me when we're done. Now the shout out to John Marjoram Lace. John appreciated, we were talking about this during Tish on Yom Kippur, that we introduce ourselves to each other as we begin services, then we go into our own singular focused prayer, sing together, and then we walk away at the end. We should introduce ourselves again at the end of services, so we walk out really knowing the names, because my recognition and name recall is only about 30 seconds long. So better chance then, I guess, for us all. I'm just kidding. So remind me to do that at the end. Something new that we're trying, thanks to Anita, our little bike club, a cycling club at Temple Shir Shalom, for those who want to go cycling on Sundays. And so starting in 2 weeks on July 30th, right, at 11 a.m., and the first one's going to be meeting at Indian Springs Metro Park, right, at 11 o'clock, and then grabbing a bite to eat afterwards, I think, as well, if you'd like. So you can, Anita, will you wave to us all? And so we put that in the TSS News on Thursday, and she and Sarah Frank are organizing that. So you don't have to be a speedy, a road demon. You just got to be one who likes to be out there pedaling with a helmet on safely, enjoying that. But you can ask her about that during Oneg as well. Yeah, I'll bring it out. I got it back there. I have it. Yeah, I'll do it. Our camping trip is in a month, August 11th through 13th. And we have pop-ups in the park with our preschool-age kids or any children who want to come on July 29th at the Lily Springs West Bloomfield. I'm sure that Shana will be there. Yes? Right, Shana? Will you be there? Oh, good. Good, yes. The Watsons will be there, too. It's awesome. So, moment of Tish, and then I'll get the challah. Yes. Yes, Henry. When what was created? When the state of Israel was created, why was the West Bank excluded of that? So next week, I'm specifically talking about Israel, what's going on right now, my reflections after having 8 days there, and the perspective of that. But that history, why was the West Bank excluded when the state of Israel was created? In 1947, the United Nations created the partition plan. It was a compromise plan through the United Nations that the Jewish people accepted, which was, if you look at the maps from 47, 48, 67, 73, and then today, you see how Israel changed. And so it was, a third of the size of what Israel is today. A third to a half the size of what Israel, let's say half the size of what Israel is today. And the West Bank was part of Jordan. It was the West Bank of the Jordan River, and that was going to be still Jordanian controlled, and majority were Arabs who were living there, and so that was the idea. There were some Jews who lived in the West Bank at the time, like a neighborhood called Gush Etzion, a very traditional, zealous neighborhood. There was a battle in 48 where a number of the people of Gush Etzion were massacred by Arabs. Actually, they were attacked by a group of Arabs there, and but it wasn't until 67, and after the Six-Day War, when Israel took control of that area, that Jews started settling Gush Etzion again. And now it's a major Jewish community. not going to get political and say whether I think it should be or not. I think it shouldn't be. But nonetheless, sorry, I hate when I speak my thought bubbles. But the idea there was the partition plan didn't initially give it to Israel. I mean, Jerusalem was an international city, right? As a matter of fact, I stayed, you're going to be shocked by this, we were practically staying in East Jerusalem. We stayed in an area, I mean, right by Damascus Gate. There's 3 large hotels there. Mostly, there were some BBYO groups who were staying there too. And the kids didn't realize it. I mean, it was a safe neighborhood around there. But we took the bus from there, even though it was only a 5-minute bus ride to downtown, right? It would have been like a kilometer for us to walk downtown. So, not typically where I stay, but with teens, it was our issue with teens, we always want to have a swimming pool where we're staying. So Shabbat, we can relax and enjoy that too. So it was a good compromise. But I'd never stayed in that area before. But in that, and after Israel declared statehood in 1948, of course, it was attacked by all the surrounding countries. And Jerusalem was cordoned off. If you want to read the story of the siege of Jerusalem, there's a book called O Jerusalem by 2 French journalists. I blank on their name right now. And it's about that year. And for an entire year, Jerusalem was almost cut off, right? Amos Oz in his book, I think it was Amos Oz, in his book, A Tale of Love and Darkness, talks about that because he was 9 years old at that time, and what it was like to live in Jerusalem. He was a Sabra, he was born there, his parents were immigrants, and so what that meant to them were you were rationed, water and milk and things like, and eggs and things like that too. But, yes, Lord. Are all the Torahs in the Ark that Shir Shalom owns? 2 of our Torahs are in the museum case. The Ford Torah is in the museum case, and the Yemenite Torah is in the museum case. So both those, we don't read those regularly. We don't ever read the Yemenite Torah. According to most, it's not a kosher Torah because it's missing a word in the story of Noah. That's how we know it's a Yemenite Torah. Yemenite Jews think all of our Torahs aren't kosher. The rest of the Jewish world thinks Yemenite Torahs are not kosher because they all have a word. Instead of saying Noach at one point in the Torah, our Torah says B'nai Noach, the children of Noach. In Yemenite Torahs, it leaves out the word B'nai, children of Noach at one point. Scribal error? No, of course not. So, but Yemenite Jews write their Torahs differently than the rest of the world. The small community does. And to that day. So, well, with that in mind, we give thanks for the sweetness of this day and the joy of Shabbat. So first, I sort of feel like I'm a magician back here. My next trick, I'm going to make.
Very nice, Rabbi.
Got the dish cup?
Thank
Excellent.
you. Please join me. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim.
I am. If Shana wants to help me with the challah right now, and any other children want to come forward and help me with the challah, do I invite lots of children up on the bima? Do I risk that right now? Where's Weston?
Ready?
Come on, Weston.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Yummy?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Oh. I'll bring us out for everyone out into our own egg. Please rise for our closing prayer.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you. May God protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichoneka.
May God's light shine upon you and shine through you. us as a community, give us all of our hopes, all of our strength, and all of our dreams. And most of all, blessing us with shalom, peace in our heart and our minds. And of course, giving us the strength to bring more peace into our world.
Vayesem lecha shalom, Shabbat shalom.
As we wish each other a good Shabbos, find someone else and introduce yourself again as we become community and we go and join our oneg with our musicians once again. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Thanks, Arthur.